Aren't you tired of the rigmarole? Wouldn't it be nice to just simplify life? Especially if you have had experiences that you might consider mistakes or failures, or relationships that are lifelong, like parent child. And you've just had enough. You don't know what else to do. When you're ready to surrender and to stop being defensive and defending all of the things that you thought you knew based on what others have told you, rather than expanding based on some real personal growth tools that will help you to be comfortable where you are because you really have done all you knew to do. But that can only happen when you actually expand in where you are. There are a lot of people walking away from things and relationships without having done all that they actually can do. They may have done all they knew to do, but there is always more you can do, especially if you are not at a space of absolute peace where those relationships are concerned. So, mama, and I'm talking to parents right now. The children will be listening in, of course, and it will be good for you when you get in the parenting roles. Or if you are an adult child and you are already in a parenting role, then you will be able to look at your own life. You've probably already decided what you are not going to do based on what your parents have done, but that still does not mean that there isn't more to learn. So, do you have to spend your life on this whole, learning cycle and always feeling like you just don't know enough? Listen, I got trapped in that. That is not at all what I'm saying. There are certain fundamental truths that you can gain that will have you in a space of comfort even while you're still expanding. So you don't have to feel like you're broken. You don't have to feel like, oh, there's so much that I really just don't know. You can feel like everything I need to know because of who I am and understanding your connection to all that is. And I am not religious, so I'm not talking religiosity. If that's where you are and that is how you tap in, but things are still not working well for you, then I encourage you to expand. Because a lot of times when people shut down based on what they think they know, it is because they're lost in a religious belief or some kind of social construct belief. But it is a loop. If you are not flowing in an energy of ease that has you at absolute peace, and where other people are not hurt because of your unwillingness to expand, then I've got some stuff for you. That's what we're talking about today. If that sounds good to you, then stick around. People say kids don't come with manuals. It's the biggest lie ever told. Every child comes with a manual. Parents just don't know how to read them. We get bullies and victims on playgrounds because nobody was taught about natural wiring. Mama, come close. When you had your baby, and if you got more than one, really put on some double listening ears. You might have one who goes after exactly what they want all the time, unabashedly. And sometimes they will force themselves in positions and dominate in order to get what they want. And they've done that from the time they got here. You might have another one who steps aside and doesn't rush quickly into anything. Just kind of sit back, see how everything happens, see how people are being treated, and if they then feel comfortable enough, they will step in. And once they step in with that kind of a comfort, then you can see their brilliance and their genius. But until they got comfortable, you didn't even know that was in there. Mama, they're showing you who they are. They showed you from the time they got here. And what you saw in them, you will see in them throughout their years, throughout their teenage years, up until adulthood. Now listen, please listen. Whatever they were as children, that's what they are as adults. And it's why we need to understand temperaments so that we can stop labeling people and start to understand them. I said it before, I'll say it again. All the people we're giving narcissistic labels to are not narcissists. And all of you claiming to be empaths are not empaths. And those who have accepted either label that are not true narcissists, are not true empaths, don't understand who they are, which means they can't regulate their energies enough to be able to really capitalize on their natural strengths, which translate to gifts that we all have. So when adults come together and they have red zone and blue zone behaviors, that chemistry is naturally making them attract, but they don't know how to regulate them, then we have all the painful shit that people get entangled in.
Hi, my name is Aaron Green and I'm glad you're here. To those of you, this is your first time, welcome. The others, welcome back. What I do over here is all things personal development. That includes you as an individual, how to live your absolute best life because you understand who you are and what distinguishes you from the rest, as well as interpersonal skills. Because unless you live on an island, you need to understand not just yourself, but others. And especially as you continue to bring more people into your world. And particularly today, we are talking about your children. So personal development is my thing. It has been for a very long time. What I've also included on this channel is teachings of other dimensions. So that includes new thought. We live here in this realm of 3D, and that is where most people operate. The 3D is where you enjoy life, but it is also where your problems are, and you cannot resolve your problems in the same spaces, in the same energy that they are created. So unless you understand some new tools, then in order to apply new things, then you will be stuck in the loop of the 3D world. And so along with personal growth, we do some new thought over here, and we do that through mentalism. When you understand that all is one, we are all living things. All is consciousness. All are operating on one consciousness, whether you understand it or not. So it is to your advantage to understand new thought, as well as that we are all one. We are all tapped into the absolute. We are all pieces of the absolute. And then how that energy we learn to operate to our advantage and understand that we are only in control of ourselves. But once we modify ourselves, everything and everybody around us are responding to that energy, then you are really tapped in. Now, if this is the first time you're hearing this, it either has scared the whole hell out of you and you are ready to tap out, or you are tuning in even more because it's resonating and you are learning. There's a resonation that says, okay, I've never heard this before and I've been stuck in this loop. And so it is at least worth me tapping in to understand more about my own individuality, to expand my interpersonal skills, to understand that there are different dimensions to this thing. And I am now ready to hear more about this new thought and this one consciousness of the absolute, which you are. Not just a part of, you are. But unless you understand it in its fullness, then you won't understand its parts, which you are. I've done many videos on this, so all of that is not going to happen, right? I'm not going to reteach all that stuff. You will have to go and tap in to all of those to get more understanding of it. Let's let this pass. Now let's get to some fundamental truths. And we may only hit one today so that it's not too long, and I don't want to overwhelm you, but I do want to give you nuggets that are digestible, and so that you just keep coming back so you learn more, all right? The first thing is, where your children are concerned, y'all, they are not extensions of you. They are not your mini-me's. They are not opportunities for you to have do-overs. They are not where you experience hoping that your children will have a different experience than you had because you're going to do things different than your parents did and then end up disappointed anyhow because now you feel like you've put in so much different effort. Why are you not getting the kind of results that you felt like you should have gotten? I'm going to tell you, the most basic, fundamental understanding of individuality for interpersonal relationships is understanding this thing called temperaments. Again, you can find many videos that I've done on it because that's where I've spent my life. In college, I came across temperaments. I have a psychology degree because I needed to understand my family. I needed to understand how it is that we all grew up in the same house. There was a family of five, mom and dad in the house, but three children, and we were all oh so different, impacted differently from my parents' parenting. And we all are so different as adults, and how we process our whole experience as children and how we recall it. You gotta ask yourself, how does that happen? Because I know that's the case for you too. It's the case for every family. Yet, we are still going around missing the most important element. And this is why I speak so much about social constructs. Psychology has done a fantabulous job of not including temperaments at all in any of its indoctrination. So when you go to therapists for your issues, most therapists have no idea how to address who you are as an individual. So they don't. You are always looking naturally to align with people who agree with and have the same perspectives on life as you do, because that's a space of comfort. But I'm telling you, unless and until you understand the full spectrum of temperaments, and I teach this through asking one question: what is your priority? Because we all have different priorities. And I am telling you, if you are a parent, you don't get to groom what becomes the priority by which they view the world. That comes already fixed. And it's why I tell parents all the time, the first student in every parent-child relationship needs to be the parent, because every child will teach you who they are if you know how to become the student and you know what to look for. So you can find here for free what is your priority and listen to it, or you can go to where my products are and purchase the system itself in audio form, by the way, and have something that also guides you in understanding the full spectrum, so you see yourself, you see your children, and you see everybody else you've ever known. And that will start you to understanding why your conflict with them exists. We've all been conditioned for conformity when we are indeed individuals. And our individuality is so specific and unique to who we are, that when we are forced to conform, and that is what most parents do, they have these ideas about who their children are based on who they are, and think they can groom children. You cannot groom people into being something you want them to be and them be happy beings. That's probably why you are not happy and feel like you need to control others, because what parenting has become is a acceptable means of controlling little people. We come here individualized, and by the time we're 6 or 7 years old, we've all forgotten what that is, because we're looking to those around us to tell us who we are supposed to be. And that is so backwards. So a lot of what you have to do is to recognize how you've been programmed to not live out your own individuality. Then you will be free to look at the facts that you have ignored your own children's individuality. And now they are just as screwed up trying to figure out how to live this thing called life. And with all the social constructs around that have programmed us all on what we are supposed to be, we are now all going around trying to align with those things. And as those are crumbling, then everything else is too. When all we need to do is to get back to source. And source is within us when we understand who we were designed to be. Thus, my first two publications: Living in Harmony or Hostility, by Design or Default. The reality is, most of us are living in hostility with ourselves first. And then that stuff leaks out to everybody else. So harmony keeps evading us, not because it is not what our nature is, but because we no longer know who we are by nature. We are now living through nurture, and that nurture has us all confused. So, if you're tired, then it's time to get rid of the junk. It's time to get rid of all the layers we've laid on top of our nature and sort through the environmental influences that are working against us. So, you can jumpstart that by getting what is your priority. And if you're really ready to do it, living in harmony or hostility by design or default. Or keep coming back, turn on that notification bell, and I will keep giving you these nuggets. If you're ready to talk to me, you'll find the link below to be able to do that. That's all I have for you today. It's your life. Choose it just as it is. Own it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Change it. As long as you can breathe and learn, it can get better. From somewhere out here in Central America where it is noisy, but it is lovely. Ciao for now.